Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on unboxing Python. The objective of the series is to teach Python in an easier way. The lecture discusses the concepts along with the code execution using Anaconda Jupyter Notebook. In this video, we are going to see the functions in Python. Functions. When our program or application grows larger and larger and contains repeated code, we can break the program into smaller chunks known as functions that can be reused. This makes the program more organized, manageable, and avoids repetition. Functions provide better modularity for the application and a high degree of code reusing. To define, function is a block of organized, reusable code for performing a single related action. It provides better modularity. Python provides readily available functions for use. These functions are called as built-in functions, and user can create their own functions also. This is going to be the agenda of this video. We are going to see a list of built-in functions, how to have a user-defined function, how are parameters passed from the calling function to the called function, is it call by value or reference or some other way, and we are going to see variable function arguments. There are three different ways of passing arguments. One is default argument, keyword argument, and arbitrary number of arguments also. We can also define anonymous functions, that is functions that does not have any name for that. Then we can see the scope of variables. Scope of variables are nothing but to see where a variable can be accessed. So these are all the list of built-in functions available in Python. These functions can be used by the user, and when you download and import different Python libraries, you have access to extra functions and methods as well. Let us see user-defined functions. This is the syntax of defining a function. You need to have a def keyword followed by the function name and one or more parameters separated by comma. And you have a function docstring. This is to specify the documentation for the function. And then you have a function code. Then followed by that is a return statement. Either you can return an expression or you just give a return. When you just pass the return statement with no argument, it is same as return none. This is an example of creating a function. Def, name of that function, argument. This is the function docstring and this is the return statement. There is no other statement in the function. Here I am using a concatenation operator. So whatever is passed to the name, it will be printed hello that name. We'll see how the function can be called. I can just say print hello world. So this world will be passed on to this name, and then here you can see that hello concatenated with the world and with an exclamation mark it will be printed. So hello world. Another example, this is printing a Fibonacci series. I have name of the function as Fibo and the parameter is num. This is a function docstring and I have a list ans is equal to 0, 1. Then I use a for loop to append the successive elements of the Fibonacci series, and then I am just returning ans. Ans is a list. How do we call? I just call it using Fibo 5. So 5 will be passed on to this number and the number will have 5, 5 minus 3, 5 minus 2, 3, and it will be done as it is. So I have 5 elements in the Fibonacci series. Can we change the parameter values inside the function? Now I have given an example where I am passing the string. So this is the function test string, and I am assigning some value for this string, and then I am trying to print that. Then in the main program I have string gx, and I am printing that string and calling the function and then printing it. So my output will be, before the calling the function it will be gx, and when I call the function, inside the function it will print gx for gx, and then outside the function again gx gets printed. That means I am not able to change the value of the string inside the function. Now I am passing list. Def increment x, and then the first element of that x is incremented. So 4 is a list containing 3 elements, and I am calling the function and then I am printing the function. Now we will just see the output. Here you can see that the first element gets incremented by 1. I get 11, 20, 30. Now we will see the next example where I am passing a dictionary. Here I have new is equal to alloc and nev, and then I am updating a student dictionary, and then I am returning it. Here you can see that I am having some student dictionary. Before calling the function, the value is printed, and I am calling the function and then it will be printed again. The output will be, before calling the function, Achana, Krish, Ram and Vine is printed, and then outside the function you can see that the alloc and nev also gets added to the dictionary. So what happens? So to find out, we must know how the parameters are passed, whether it is call by value or call by reference. But in Python, it is call by object. That means depending upon the object, it will be call by value or call by reference. When you are passing immutable arguments like integers, strings or tuples, then it will be call by value. When you are passing mutable objects, then it is call by reference. So when you are passing mutable objects, if their values are changed inside the function, it will be reflected outside the function. That means you will be able to change the parameter when you are passing mutable objects. Now we'll just see the parameters. The functions have a fixed number of arguments. In Python, the parameters have positional behavior, and you need to pass them in the same order in which they are defined. Here you can see an example. Hello, two parameters are there, and I'm just printing the parameters. This is how I call that function. So the Python will be assigned to greet, dear will be assigned to name. So the output will be Python dear. You have different ways of passing the argument. One is a name keyword argument, that is name is equal to value. So you can call or send arguments with the name is equal to value syntax. The caller identifies the arguments by the parameter name. The order of parameters does not matter. Here you can see that this is the previous function. I am just giving greet is equal to hi, name is equal to Python. So there is no ambiguity here. This value is assigned to that greet argument. Python is assigned to that name argument. So what is the advantage here? You can change the order. Here you can see that name is equal to Python, greet is equal to hi. You have default arguments. When you have default arguments, the values are provided in the definition itself. So it is defined by using the assignment operator. An argument assumes a default value if a value is not provided in the function call for that argument. Here you can see that I am giving default values for greet and name. When I call the function just hello, there is no parameter here, but automatically the hello and world will be taken as a default argument. So the result will be hello world. I can also have hello, greet is equal to hi, name is equal to Python. Now I am changing the default values. So automatically hi will be assigned to greet, Python will be assigned to name. So the result will be hi Python. I can also say name is equal to hello. That means I have not given any value for this greet. What will happen? It will take the default value hello, and the name also has got the value hello. So hello will be printed. Now I am just giving only value for this greet. I am not giving value for this name. So the default value world will be taken. So dear world. Suppose you do not know how many arguments you will be passing. That is, you have an arbitrary number of arguments. So you can do it by prefixing it with a star before the parameter name. Here you can see that greet star names. Then here you have a for loop to iterate over all the values in this names. This is the function call. Now we'll see the next one, anonymous function. That means we are not going to define a function using the def keyword, but instead we are using the keyword lambda. So it is to use to create small function which does not have any name for that. You can take any number of arguments, but it will return only one value in the form of an expression. They cannot contain commands or multiple expressions. The syntax is like this: lambda, arguments, and then you can have that expression. For example, you have double is equal to lambda x colon x star 2, and you are calling the function like this: print double of 5. So that means x will take the value 5 and that expression will be evaluated. So 5 star 2, so it will be printed as 10. Some more examples here. You have lambda x x star x star x. So you can just say cube of 2. So that means x will take the value 2. So 2 into 2 into 2, it will print 8. Here you can see that there are multiple arguments, argument 1 comma argument 2, and then the expression will be argument 1 plus argument 2. So I am calling the function like this: sum of 10 comma 20. So the value of total will be 30. This anonymous function can also be used with the filter function. Filter is a function which will take two parameters. One is the function, another is the iterable. This function is called with all the items in the iterable, and a new list is returned which contains item for which the function evaluates to true. That means the function will be evaluated for all the values in the iterable, and only those values which satisfies that function will be returned. And the returned value can be passed to functions like list or set. This is an example. I have a list of numbers, and then I'm using this filter along with the lambda. Lambda takes one argument, and then I am calculating that x mod 2 is equal to 0. This is a function, and this is the next argument for the filter. So for all the elements in my list, this function will be evaluated, and those elements which satisfies this function will be returned, and it will be returned to list. You have another function called map. We are trying to combine this map with the anonymous function. Map also takes two arguments, function and iterable. This map function applies a given function to each item of the iterable and returns a list of results. Here also you can pass the values to list or a set. So this is an example. I have a list and then here I have the function as x star 2. So this map function will take each element from the my list and apply this function, and it will return the values and it will be stored as a list again. That means each element of this my list will be multiplied by 2. All variables in a program may not be accessible at all locations in that program. This depends on where you have declared a variable. Scope of variable is the portion of the program where the variable can be accessed or recognized. Parameters and variables defined inside a function are not visible from outside the function. Hence, they have a local scope. They are destroyed once we return from the function. Hence, a function does not remember the value of the variable from its previous call. Another one is the global variable. Global variable, the variables are defined outside a function and can be accessed throughout the program body by all functions. Here is an example of defining a global variable and a local variable. I am having a variable b is equal to 20. It is defined outside any function, so the scope of the variable is global. So inside the function, I have a variable a defining a variable, so it is local. And I am trying to print a and b. So a is a local variable, b is a global variable. Both values will be printed. So in the main program, I am calling the function. I am trying to print b. So it will print b value, that is 20. But when I try to print a, I get an error because the scope of the variable is limited to this function. Scope of variable a is limited to this function. But b is available inside the function and outside the function because it is global in nature. This is another example where I have an outer function, and inside this outer function I am defining another function which is called inner function. I have a is equal to 10, which is global in scope because it is defined outside any function. B is local to outer function and C is local to inner function. So in this inner function, C is local, B is non-local and A is global. This inner function can read and assign new values to C, but can only read B and A. If a new value is assigned to B or A in this inner function, a new variable is created in the local namespace. What about variables in the blocks? If you can remember, in C or C++, the variable, when you are defining it in a block, it will have scope limited to that block. But in Python, it is not so. Here you can see that x is equal to 5. So from this point onwards, x will be available. And then I have a if condition. I am defining another variable y is equal to 20. So from here onwards, y will be available irrespective of the block. So similarly, z value will be available from this point onwards. So variables defined in if statement, for loop blocks and while loop blocks are not local variables. They stay in scope outside the block also. In the next video, we will have hands-on session with the Anaconda Jupyter Notebook to try out the Python functions. Be connected with this channel. Thank you.